Fox Sports South.
The young guns of the NASCAR Goody Dash Series are ready to play one of the sport's marquee venues, hoping their star shines brightest when the checkered flag waves. Mike Swaim and David Hutto, the 97 and 95 champs, have had victory lane to themselves this year. The 20-year-old Hutto with 4 wins in his last 9 series starts. For Swaim, he's the defending series champ with 2 wins in 3 tries so far this season. A second-generation driver hoping for a Charlotte score. They'll face many challengers tonight, like Ricky Bryant, top 5s in every race so far this year, and Robert Huffman, the 1990 champ, a runner-up twice in 3 tries in 98. Then there's Minnesotan Christian Elder, winner here at Charlotte last July. The NASCAR Goody Dash Series at Charlotte. Next. The lights are on at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Queen City of North Carolina. The NASCAR Goody Dash Series is set to go 100 miles around this mile-and-a-half oval in the EasyCare 100. Welcome to Fox Sports Net's coverage of the event from Charlotte. I'm Alan Bestwick. Glad that you've joined us. NASCAR sanctions 12 different series of racing that tour around the United States. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series is one of them. The NASCAR Goody Dash Series is another. They start the season at Daytona in February, just like the Winston Cup cars do, concluded in mid-November at the Homestead Motorsports Complex in South Florida. The rest of the season they spend vamping up and down the eastern seaboard of the United States. Joining me for the call of tonight's event is Bill Venturini, 2-time ARCA Series champ, and Dr. Dick Bergeron, the editor of Stock Car Racing magazine. Dick, we'll start with you. This Dash Series, some pretty exciting and competitive racing.
It really is, and especially here at Charlotte. What we're going to see tonight is the best of the drivers are going to go around this racetrack wide open. They aren't even going to lift for the corners. The best and the bravest of them. How rough is this series? There have been 3 races so far in 1998, and in every one of them, somebody's been upside down.
Been exciting so far this season. Bill Venturini, let's talk about these race cars just a little bit. They look familiar. They're just a little different.
Yeah, originally they were street cars that they had converted over to race cars. Today, they're just a smaller version of a Winston Cup car. They're fabricated chassis. They're really, you can't tell the difference. It's just a miniature Winston Cup car.
The weather is a story here at Charlotte as we get ready for the green flag. We do come to you live from Charlotte now. A thunderstorm is closed in. It's not over the Speedway, but it's right around the Speedway. We may have a slight delay in the start of the race. We'll find out in just a moment. First a break. We'll come back with some breaking news about the pole sitter for tonight's race when we return in just a moment. Fox Sports Net back live at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where the EasyCare 100 for the NASCAR Goody Dash Series is just about to get underway. We had a little thunderstorm pass through the area shortly ago. It has cleared. The racetrack is just about dry. The cars are being rolled to their positions along pit road, where they'll start from shortly, and we expect to get the green flag in this race in just a few short minutes. I'm Alan Bestwick. Glad that you've joined us for our coverage of the NASCAR Goody Dash Series from Charlotte. Dr. Dick Bergeron, the editor of Stock Car Racing, works with me, as well as Bill Venturini, the 2-time ARCA Series champion. The NASCAR Goody Dash Series, a very competitive, very exciting form of racing, basically scaled-down versions of Winston Cup cars. And, Dick, I think the thing that strikes me when I look at the lineup for this race is the youth factor, as far as youth versus experience. We got a lot of young guns here.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys who are pushing 50 in this field as well, so that surely is one of the stories that we're going to be watching tonight to see whether the kids are going to prevail this evening or whether the elder statesmen of this sport are going to be the guys in the front of the field when the checkered falls.
Bill, let's talk about this Charlotte Motor Speedway. Difficulty for these young drivers. Many of them have raced here maybe once before last July. How tough a racetrack for them to learn?
Oh, this is very hard for them. They're not used to holding a car full throttle all the way around the racetrack. This is a fast racetrack. The good guys don't lift. They're not used to that. They're used to running the smaller tracks. The only one that's similar to this is Daytona. I talked to a few of the guys in the garage area, and it took them the morning practice to get used to that, running through the corner and not lifting. The fast guys won't lift. Some of the young rookie guys, you know, you got to really use your head. You know, you can't run every lap full throttle. You're going to have to lift some, use the brake. But the fast guys, they're going to be good to watch tonight.
100 miles of flat-out, wide-open racing for the NASCAR Goody Dash Series coming up from here in Charlotte on Fox Sports Net. Stay with us. We'll have a look at the starting lineup for the EasyCare 100 when we return. Back Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, waiting for the start of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. EasyCare 142 drivers set to go around the mile-and-a-half oval. Short delay from the start because of a thunderstorm. There you see, though, the covers are off the cars. They are being set in their positions on pit road, and we will get to the green flag in just a moment. Here's a look at the starting lineup. On the pole, though not for long, the defending series champion Mike Swain Jr., his second pole of the season, looking for his 12th win in less than 4 seasons. We'll have a follow-up story on Swain in a moment. Outside is David Hutto from Rock Hill, South Carolina, tied with Hut Strickland, 8th all-time in series wins. Row 2, Jake Hopgood, a young gun in the series, and Ernie Yarborough. He is the nephew of Winston Cup great Cale. Back in row number 3 is Christian Elder from Minnesota, the winner here last July. Also row 4, Ricky Bryant, second in the championship standings, 40 points behind Swain. He's not finished out of the top 5 so far this season. Johnny Chapman is a former series champion. He starts on the outside of row 5. He won the title in '91, got 10 wins in this series. He is driving for the team that won the '96 championship. DJ Mackey is a 20-year-old from South Carolina. He's seeking his second Dash Series win. Mickey York is a '92 series champ, 3rd all-time in series victories. Dr. Tom Brewer is a physician from the High Point, North Carolina area. His 2nd season in the Dash Series. He finished 3rd in the year opener down in Daytona. Robert Huffman is the '90 series champion. 2nd, 2nd, and 10th in 1998. His finishes, he's 46 points behind Mike Swain in 3rd position. Wise and Ellington in row 10, 2 of the 11 rookie drivers in the field. George Crenshaw is a Florida veteran. He got upside down the last race. He's a 2-time Dash Series winner. And Larry Connell's the 2nd all-time series winner in the Dash. He won the first Dash race here in 1975. Gary Moore's been on this series since 1979. He's a 49-year-old. A.J. Frank, a 23-year-old road racer from South Carolina. Looking a little further back, the Indianapolis driver Eddie Kelly is in his 4th Dash Series start. He's a rookie. John Redmond is 4th in the championship standings, trying to overcome a poor qualifying run. There you see Scott Weaver. He's a veteran of this series. 14 years he's been on the tour, had a tough qualifying run he'll have to try and overcome. And the final row on the grid, Brian Weil in his Pontiac, starting scratch on the field. Getting ready for the command of fire engines in the EasyCare 100 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Stay with us. It's going to be a great race. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the engines are fired on the field of 42 NASCAR Goodies Dash Series machines to compete in tonight's 100-mile sprint around the mile-and-a-half oval. And you see the cars rolling from the pit lane of this racetrack, set to begin their odyssey, all in search of victory tonight at one of the sport's marquee speed palaces. A big story we need to cover before we get the green flag, the fact that the defending series champion and a man who has dominated the series here so far in 1998 is going to have a tough road to hoe tonight. There you see the championship standings. Mike Swain Jr. is the man we speak of. He is the series championship leader, and he starts on the pole for tonight's race. He's 40 points ahead of Ricky Bryant, 46 ahead of Robert Huffman. But Swain Jr. is not going to be able to stay on the pole for long.
Apparently he missed the drivers' meeting, or at least was late to it, and the rule says if you're late enough to the drivers' meeting, or if you miss it, well, you start in the back of the pack. So the fastest car in the field is going to start absolutely dead last. He's going to have to go through everybody to win this thing, Alan.
And that will be exciting, watching him come up through the field.
Yeah, I'd like to be on the radio set when they go to drop the green flag for this, because his father's his spotter. And I'm sure he's going to say a few things about him missing the drivers' meeting.
So Mike Swain Jr. in that yellow Pennzoil number 28, along with Brent Moore and Jimmy Gross, will all have to drop to the back of the field for being late to the drivers' meeting. There's our race analysis. 75 grand on the line tonight for the drivers. Just a 100-mile sprint here at Charlotte. Race strategy as far as what we'll expect to see over these 100 miles.
Pretty much stand on the gas. They're going to have to make at least one pit stop. The strategy seems to be just take fuel. The way the tires are working, competitors, generally speaking, would rather not lose track position. They want to take as quick a pit stop as they can, so it'll likely be gas only. No one can make it the entire distance without at least one pit stop.
Well, I know last year in this same race they had some tire problems. Goodyear came back with a better tire, so the teams aren't sure if they're going to be able to run the whole race on one set of tires. They did have a slight blister problem last year, but they think they've got it corrected. And as long as they do, I don't think you'll see anyone changing tires.
There you see Swaim, the pole sitter, dropping down to the inside, and he'll begin to work his way toward the back of the field. Series has been racing here since 1975. There was a little gap in there, a period of time where they did not come here, but they have resumed last year. There you see some of the former winners. Dean Combs. There's a name, if you follow the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, that means a lot. You obviously would recognize Hut Strickland, the NASCAR Winston Cup driver. And Larry Caudle, let's talk about him just for a minute. Larry's veteran would apply certainly to this type of racing.
34 career wins for Larry Caudle. This is his very first start this year, however. He's been in a bad situation. No ride, no sponsor, no nothing. This is a one-race deal.
This is Larry Caudle's been with this series since its conception. He's been here every year running with the Daytona Dash cars. And he, as a matter of fact, he even came up to my old hometown up around Chicago many years ago and ran up at Rockford Speedway, and I helped him out there. And really nice guy. I met to spend a weekend. I got to spend a weekend with him. I hope he picks up a sponsorship and continue to race for the rest of the season.
Watching Mike Swaim Jr., the pole sitter for this event, no longer on the pole, falling back to the inside of the last row. That means he'll start in 41st position when we get the green flag, and it is going to be some kind of exciting watching him charge up through the field. Field now motoring around just a couple of laps behind the pace car. I believe we're getting set for the start. Lights are off atop the safety car. 67 laps for 42 drivers of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the EasyCare 100. Here comes the field down to the start. Now moving up from third starting position to lead him to the green, Jake Hopgood from South Carolina. There's the starter atop the stand, and we're set to go. And David Hutto, door-to-door for the race lead. Off of turn number 2 on the first lap of the event. Front four still tightly bunched.
One thing you got to remember about these cars is that they're 4-cylinders. They are running some restrictor plates, and it takes them about 2 to 3 laps to get up to full head of steam.
Looking at Roger Moser, who was smoking. Missouri driver dropping back. He started 35th. He was showing some smoke. He appears to still be showing some smoke. And now we look up as the field comes to the start-finish line. Race for 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions. Hutto leads lap 1. That is Hopgood kind of sliding back a couple of spots in the inside row.
Boy, that didn't look good at all. Hopgood just drifted right on back. He's one of the young guns, 22 years old, Hopgood is. Hutto, your leader, is only 20, so those are 2 of the young kids we're going to watch tonight.
David Hutto is the race leader. Running right behind him is Ernie Yarborough. Here's Mike Swaim trying to move up rapidly. Remember, he started back in 41st position. He's already just passed George Crenshaw, who started in 23rd spot. That's some kind of fast race car.
Man, he's flying through there.
Yeah, you can tell he's definitely got a good handle in the race car. He's worked both the bottom groove and the outside groove, and he's trying the outside groove right now.
He is running 23rd at the moment, so in one lap he goes from 41st to 23rd. He's working the high side off turn 2.
Yeah, I don't know if he should try 3 wide. I mean, I do. He shouldn't. 2 wide's okay. 3 wide in the corner, I don't know, Mike.
Yeah, 3 wide's fine on the straightaway, but you don't want to try that in the turns, and that's where he is. Whoa.
Oh, and a close call there. Rusty Wise, the rookie driver in that light blue machine, really did a nice job seeing the situation outside of him.
Yeah, that was a smart move on Rusty. He had to back off him because he knew if he did, there was definitely going to be some trouble in the corner.
He was 23rd last time at the stripe. He's 18th now and still on the march. Mike Swaim Jr. headed toward the front.
Well, he's highly motivated. Oh, whoa, he lost it. He hit the wall. Hit the wall. Swaim bangs into the wall.
Mike Swaim Jr., 41st to 18th. He's into the wall. More cars spinning and crashing behind. Now 2, 3, 4, 5 involved in turn number 2. There you see Clay Brown in the 63. The 2 is Scott Weaver's machine. A couple of others involved. It started when Mike Swaim's incredible charge from the back to the front of the pack got out of control over in turn number 2.
Yeah, I don't know if he had car trouble or not. He got into in turn 1, right in the center of 1 and 2. The car actually just kind of darted right up to the wall, and he tried to bring it down. He saw he couldn't. He just kept, at least he was smart enough to keep it up against the wall so he didn't come across traffic. But the guys behind him, everybody started to check up. I'm sure somebody ran in the back of somebody and started about a 4 or 5 car wreck.
Well, this is surely a night that he is going to remember. Oh boy, look at this.
That would be the Scott Weaver machine.
Scott Weaver, yeah.
Here's a look. Take it away.
Yeah, he's moving ass. So you see the car just actually like changed lanes, jumped up one lane. But once he gets in the light gray area, there's nothing he can do.
No, and it's hard to say whether something happened in the car or whether he just got into the gray.
Yeah.
But it surely did end a brilliant run from the back.
Let me throw this at you. We had a rain delay here. It didn't rain heavily. He got up in that outside lane. What do you think? Anything to that?
I don't know. I don't know if that could play, could play into it, or if it was, the car that was smoking the first 2 laps. Maybe he had put down a little oil. Hard to really tell right now.
63 there is the Clay Brown machine. There you look at some of those spinning behind. One car that was up on the outside of the racetrack just missed piling into the Clay Brown machine.
It was a good thing he actually put the car into a spin, because if he wouldn't, he would have definitely ran in head-on into the side of Clay Brown.
There you see an obviously dejected Mike Swaim, Clay Brown's machine. Caution for the first time in the EasyCare 100. We're early in the event. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, working caution early in the EasyCare 100. An incredible story. Mike Swaim, the series championship leader, the pole winner for this event, late to the drivers' meeting, has to fall to the back of the field on the start, makes an incredible charge over the first few laps, 41st to 23rd in lap 1, 23rd to 18th in the second lap around. Then he gets in trouble down in turns 1 and 2, pops the wall, and is apparently done for the evening. Down to pit road, let's bring in Steve Burns.
Alan, what a tough break. As you said, he missed the driver's meeting, had to go to the back of the field. Otherwise, he would have been on the pole and probably would have avoided trouble. Talked to the crew chief, Ronald Fox, a minute ago. They're packing up the pits, heading back to the garage area. So a short night for Mike Swaim Jr. Let's go to Claire B. Lang.
Well, car number 10 came in. They got a spark plug problem. They don't have time to change it, but they're having major problems. And they said they got a big problem in the race. They don't even know how they'll run without a spark plug. And they're back out, but it does not look good for car number 10. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Scott Weaver, after taking a provisional, also involved in that accident, came down pit road, had left side damage. Crew changed the left side tires as well as worked on the left side or left front suspension. And he's back out rolling around the racetrack. But as far as these guys are concerned, they dodged a bullet. It's not badly damaged, so he'll be able to continue.
Good fortune there for Scott Weaver, Shelby, North Carolina driver, who is trying to get his second NASCAR Goodies Dash Series win. Got his first one last year at Kenly, North Carolina. Take a break before the restart. Back to Charlotte in just a moment. Stay with us. The green flag is just waved. We're back underway in the EasyCare 100 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The leader is David Hutto. He's out in front by a few car lengths, watching the race for 5th position. Down to the inside, that is on the move. That is Johnny Chapman driving the number 35 machine. He puts a move on B.J. Mackey in the white number 4. So Chapman, former series champion, on a roll. He takes over that 5th position at the start-finish line. Now watching Terry Brooks race for the 6th position with Mackey.
We've got some penalties coming up as well. NASCAR apparently didn't like the start that some of those fellas did. The black flag was, in general, waving over a whole bunch of race cars back there.
I think B.J. Mackey's going to have to come down pit road and have a little talk with somebody.
Yeah, Ricky Bryant was in there, too. It was a very, very slow start in defense of the fellas in the back. It was an unusually slow start. It bunched up the back of the field, and a couple of guys got a little bit out of line.
There's Jake Hopgood. He started this race on the pole after Mike Swaim missed the driver's meeting and went to the back. He's running 10th now. So the handling on Hopgood's machine, not to his liking in the early going. Let's go back and take a look at that start you fellas were talking about a second ago.
There you go. It's not supposed to be like that. 3 and 4 and 5 wide coming down. Number 4 car was B.J. Mackey, and the 5 you saw there was Ricky Bryant.
About the only thing rule they did follow on that restart was passing to the right.
To the right, yeah.
Looking at the race for the lead, which is tightening up now. David Hutto feeling some heat from behind. Ernie Yarborough in the yellow number 22 there, staying right with him. And in 3rd now is Christian Elder, starting 5th. Remember, he won here at Charlotte last July when the Dash Series competed here.
He's from originally out of Minnesota.
Hutto, your leader, is driving the only Chevrolet in the field that is dominated by Pontiacs, some of which are powered by V6 engines, many of which are powered by 4-cylinder engines. The leader is the only Chevrolet.
There's Yarborough taking a look down to the inside off the corner. We told you earlier, if you're just joining us, that these drivers basically run flat out all the way around Charlotte here. Don't crack the gas. So what is Yarborough gonna need to get a run on the race? Well, first, here's the penalty for B.J. Mackey. Remember, we told you he jumped that start earlier down pit road. The young driver from Rock Hill, South Carolina, expect just to have a stop-and-go penalty. You see him following the 45-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit there. Stops and goes. Here's Yarborough looking for the lead. What's he need to get this done, Bill?
Well, David Hutto's been running a real good line. He's not really giving up the high lane or the lane. He's running in between both lanes, and it looks like Yarborough is going to have, he's actually got someone challenging him for second right now.
Good run off turn 4 by Christian Elder, trying to take the second spot away from Yarborough. Let's go down by the infield care center and get a word with the pole sitter for this event, who is out early, Claire Lang.
We're with Mike Swaim Jr. How are you feeling, and what happened?
I think the right front went down, just went into turn 1 and didn't want to turn at all. And, using brakes doesn't do any good when you're already that far gone. But had a great race car, had the fastest car out here by far. And that's all an attribute to my crew. They work so hard, got great motors. And I'd like to thank Pennzoil and Pontiac for sticking behind us. They've been real good to us. And we'll be back. We're not done. But it's just a shame we had to start in the rear. And that was NASCAR's call. It wasn't quite right. But I think what they wanted to happen.
Big
All right, let's
trouble.
go back upstairs.
Big trouble up in turn number 4. At least 4 cars involved in a crash. The 00 is Chris Vanador. There you see his machine. He's moving around inside the car okay. Donnie Neuenberger was involved. He was the white number 14 you saw in the crash. There are a couple of other machines who were involved and who have dropped down toward the bottom side of the racetrack. So caution for the second time in the event. There is the 77. That's Brian Gandy. He's a rookie driver in the series. He was involved in the accident. Kind of a two-layer accident, if you will. A couple of drivers got in trouble first, and then a couple of others in the aftermath got caught up in it and turned around. Here's a look at it now.
That's already pretty well underway there, but whoa, what a hit.
That was Neuenberger in the white car who went up around Gandy. Gandy's in the blue and orange car there, starting to slide down the banking.
It's not over yet.
Well, you can see the 00 of Chris Vandor. He actually was down on the apron, and what happens is when you come off the bank and hit the apron, it actually turned the car back up the racetrack sideways. Then he ended up getting caught in the wreck.
And Gandy got the worst of that one, for sure.
Here's another look at it as they come. Gandy's car comes down the racetrack. Looks like maybe Vanador got flipped by another car and turned up the racetrack.
You couldn't really tell from that angle.
Tore the right front wheel completely off that race car.
The spinning machine at the bottom is Brian Gandy, 21-year-old from Mooresville, North Carolina. Was a student at UNCC, which is the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, until he decided to basically go racing full-time and put the education on hold. He got a Charlotte education tonight that was a little on the tough side, as you see the remnants of the crash here at lap number 15. Tough accident there. There's Chris Vanador sitting in his car. He's obviously okay. We're under caution for the second time in the EasyCare 100. David Hutto leads. We'll be right back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, caution for the second time in the EasyCare 100 after a 3-car crash up in turn 4. There you see the leaderboard. It is David Hutto, former series champion from Rock Hill, South Carolina, who has led the distance thus far. We are 16 laps complete of the 67 in the event. There is the look at the cleanup work that continues up in turn number 3 and 4. Donnie Neuenberger's car being hooked up to the wrecker after he and Brian Gandy and Chris Vanador all involved in a hard crash up there in the third corner of this racetrack. That has slowed this event for the second time. And so while we have just a minute under the caution flag, take some time to say hello to Larry Dorfman from EasyCare, the folks sponsoring this event and a whole bunch of others in NASCAR racing throughout the year. Larry, how come your company's jumped behind this NASCAR sport so big?
Well, we found it's probably the best medium that we could possibly find to entertain our guests at and to get our EasyCare vehicle service contract name better known throughout the United States. I mean, you take a look at the number of people watching TV tonight, and this is a Goody Dash Series race. Is the first time that we've had a chance to sponsor one of these, and real good drivers. They got great equipment. We're excited about being involved.
Where can folks find your EasyCare products?
Well, they can find them at automobile dealerships and at Tom Johnson Camping Center, one of the largest RV centers in the country, who's joined us in this sponsorship. We really get to race at Charlotte and Atlanta because of the Sonic Automotive Group, which obviously is owned by Bruton Smith. And We do our extended service contracts at all 34 of their dealerships, and about 800 to 1,000 more dealerships around the country. So if you're looking for a good service contract on your car, you can find a dealership that offers EasyCare.
Larry, thanks for the support of NASCAR Racing. Good to see you.
Now it's our pleasure. Thank you.
Larry Dorfman from EasyCare with us here tonight. Let's get out to pit road and Steve Burns.
Thank you, Alan. You know, when the broadcast started, you guys up in the booth talked about how these drivers would flat-footed around this racetrack. Now, the Dash Series runs on only 3 tracks a mile or longer: Charlotte, Daytona, and Homestead. So to slow these cars down a little bit, the dreaded restrictor plates are on the dash cars. You hear a lot about them in the Winston Cup Series. Now you've got 4-cylinder cars and V6s. The V6s have to be 100 pounds heavier, but essentially here are the 2 plates for the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder. And here's the unusual thing: if you've seen them before on a Winston Cup car, you'd know that there are 4 holes. So these are 2-barrel carburetors on the Goody's dash cars. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Christian Elder running second right now on the racetrack. He is the defending champion of this race here at Charlotte. Not a lot of experience in these cars, but around 25 starts. But you wonder, how can a guy get a job done like this, run up front? Well, it's because of these men right here. The guy you're looking at right there, 23 years in NASCAR with over 70 wins. That's the car owner, David Watson. To his right, Jimmy Forrest, the crew chief, or at least I should say former crew chief from Mike Swain Sr. when he won at Daytona back in 1994. They built a heck of a race car. They got it running nice tonight.
Christian Elder running in second position as we speak right now. Looking at the caution, the cleanup work continuing at Charlotte as they try and tow those cars away. Here's a look at the 2 cautions we've had in the race so far. That was Mike Swain Jr. dropped to the back because he missed the driver's meeting, crashed in turn 2 at lap 5. And this was the big 3-car scramble we're still cleaning up from, involving Brian Gandy, Chris Vanador, and the Donnie Neuenberger car. Working the caution, cleanup continuing down in turn 4 at Charlotte. We'll take a break, come back for the restart in just a moment. David Hutto leads. They're frying the food up. We'll be right back. Cleanup just about complete here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're just about set to go back to racing in the EasyCare 100 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Caution for a few laps after a 3-car crash up in turns 3 and 4. David Hutto has led the going so far. He has Christian Elder right on his tail. Also kind of in the mix, Ernie Yarborough's been trying to get a piece of the lead. And then holding down the 4th and 5th positions at this point, Ricky Bryant, second in the series championship standings, and Johnny Chapman. Bryant's kind of in a good way here with point leader Mike Swaim on the sidelines already. After the crash we showed you just a minute ago, he came into this race only about 40 points behind, and right now running in 4th spot. He figures to gain an awful lot of ground in that chase for the championship.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. With Swaim in the garage area and him running 4th right now, you know he's going to pick up a bunch of points. One thing I found interesting was Steve Byrne had showed us the restrictor plates. You got to realize these 4-cylinders or 6-cylinders with a 2-barrel carburetor with the restrictor plate are making about 250 horsepower. The pole was still 156 miles an hour. A Winston Cup car runs around this racetrack with 740 horsepower, unrestricted, runs 180. Okay, so you're talking like 25 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. Unbelievable how good these cars can run with that small of a motor. They are much lighter, but it's just amazing how good and how competitive this Goodies Dash Series has got.
B.J. Mackey and Hopgood have both pitted, as has the number 44 car of Doc Brewer, and this may be their only pit stop. This may well be strategy unfolding right now. They're putting fuel in all those cars, and they may well have enough to go all the way.
Now, Hopgood led the field to the green flag. He started on the pole after Swaim dropped to the back for missing that driver's meeting, and he had faded back to the 8th position. Didn't look like there was any extensive work there other than fuel.
Yeah, I didn't see him make any chassis change or anything, so he must feel the car was comfortable. He may have just felt that he needed to, you know, fall back a little, relax, get into a rhythm. A lot of times the driver will do that and just wait it out, knowing that he had to do a pit stop. That doesn't look good. You sure got a fuel spill on pit road.
Out of Brett Moore's car, they put more in it than it wanted to take, and it went burp.
These cars only hold 8 gallons of fuel in the fuel cell, not a Winston Cup or a Busch Series capacity of 22 gallons, so just 8, so not a lot of fuel to be put into these machines. Let's go down to Claire Lang.
We're standing here outside the infield care center. There are 3 drivers in there. One walking out of his own will, one brought in on a stretcher with a neck brace. We have Donnie Neuenberger here. Donnie, tell us what happened.
Well, we had a slow car on the inside, which was the 10 car, and I was already passing the 77 car. So as we both moved up, I mean, we were clearly already passing the 77 car. He just clipped us in the rear and sent us right into the wall. Tough break for Cofab Steel, Lito's Pizza, Color Creations, Bubba Bear Racing, all my sponsors. The thing I hurt the worst for is Gary Moore and the Moore Racing team. That's the second car we've torn up. And we tore one up at a short track, so we got a lot of work to do.
All right, let's go back up to the booth.
He's learned the lessons of racing well, hasn't he?
No doubt about it. He's definitely got every sponsor plugged in he could.
Very personable young man who sold his business a little while ago to go racing full-time. We're back under the green flag. David Hutto leads. Right behind him is Christian Elder. Those two trying to put a little distance on the rest of the field. Ernie Yarbrough looked like had a little trouble clearing some of the lap traffic on the restart. It's dropped him just a car length or so back, though.
Yeah, but he's back in the groove right now. You can see he's following the same line that these two guys are, and he'll probably close it up in the next lap.
Elder looking very, very strong in that number 21 car you see on your screen now. 29 years old. It's a V6 Sunbird that he's driving. Sunfire that he is driving. It's a Pontiac in second position.
There's Yarbrough looking down to the inside of Elder as he tries to rumble. Elder passed Yarbrough for the second spot a few laps before the caution flag. Now Yarbrough may be wanting second spot back, and Elder trying to get the lead away from David Hutto.
You can see Yarbrough's looking on the inside as Christian looks on the outside of Hutto.
Yarbrough only had 15 laps on this racetrack. Total experience here at Charlotte before we raised the green flag tonight.
Incredible. What a great performance. Well, the guy in front of him is the guy who won when these cars were here last, and he won in that very same car. But David Hutto is starting to put some distance between himself, second spot and third. Not much, but a little bit.
Oh, you can see,
yeah,
a little wiggle. Christian's car right in the center of the corner.
Christian Elder from Minnesota. Minneapolis driver, still lives there, commutes back and forth to all these races that are predominantly in the southeastern part of the United States along the eastern seaboard. That's a long way to go racing, but he feels this series is that good. He wants to be a part of it.
And you can see right in the center of the corner, he's trying to keep it right down on the white line, and every now and then in the middle of 1 and 2, the car will get a little wiggle on it.
First, second, and third you are watching all nose to tail at this point. David Hutto, champion in this series, driving the 16 car. He was the 95 dash champion. He's kind of back here after trying to move up to the NASCAR Busch Series ranks with his own family team, and now you watch as Elder may lose second spot here.
He does. Yarbrough's got it. What a good race. They're doing well up front.
Ernie Yarbrough up to second spot, reclaiming the position from Christian Elder. Let's go back down to the garage area in Claire Lang.
Well, Brian Gandy is still in the infield care center, but Chris Vanador, 00, just walked out. How are you feeling and what happened?
Oh, I'm fine. There's just a couple of cars got a little loose coming into the corner and got together when something like close to these cars are running, close as it goes. I mean, they go around in a hurry out here going so fast. I just hope the 77's all right. I don't know. I seen them getting sideways. I just got off gas. They started cramming into me. Is all I know. You know, so get them next time, I reckon. I just like to thank my sponsors, American Auto Sales, Short Wind Motels, my dad, Rick. He helped me out a lot. I appreciate it.
He got them all in.
Including his dad, who's probably the biggest sponsor of all.
Great race for the lead. David Hutto in the 16, you see, has led all 25 laps of this event so far. Right behind him, Ernie Yarbrough, 27-year-old nephew of the three-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion, trying to find a way around Hutto if he can, see if he can score himself a Charlotte victory.
And 2 races ago, he was 9th at Hickory, Yarbrough was. That was his career best at that point. The last time these cars ran was in Caraway, and he was 2nd, his career best ever. But the only thing he hasn't done so far is win one of these things, and tonight could be the night based on what we're seeing so far. Yarbrough in the 22, very strong.
You can see they're already starting to lap the slower cars in the field. One thing I've noticed is these guys sure aren't acting like they've run super speedways before. They are definitely knowing how to use the draft here.
Watching Terry Brooks in the 27 make a pass on Ricky Bryant for 4th spot. Here comes Darrell Murray in the 52, going to try and take 5th away from Bryant. So the 2nd place driver in the championship standings sliding backwards. May lose another spot here.
Johnny Chapman that's getting underneath?
That is Johnny Chapman. So Chapman goes by. We look back up front for the race lead once again. More lap traffic. It is still Hutto, Yarbrough, and Elder's hanging in there. His car's had some pretty serious wiggles. What's that telling us?
Well, you know, know, this track has a tendency to tighten up at night, but, you know, if you're loose now, I don't know if you're going to really have much. You can see he's shooting some sparks off right in the center of the corner there, which means the car is definitely bottoming out. That could be what's actually causing the car to get upset, is when it goes in the center of the corner. It's bottoming out on the racetrack. It's actually moving the car just a little. You can tell that when I saw the sparks coming.
How hard is it to drive on those things when they bounce off the racetrack like that, Bill?
Actually, when it bottoms out and it hits the racetrack, you actually almost lose control of the car because there's no suspension left in the car. And the steering wheel actually gets light. The car just kind of dances on it.
I've never bounced a car, even a rental car, off anything and had it work out. So.
Oh, well, you've never wrecked a rental car?
Oh, of course I have.
Never driven over one of those curbs in a parking lot?
Oh,
Here's Johnny Chapman down to the inside of Darrell Murray. This should be for 5th position, so put Chapman, former series champion, up into the top 5. David Hutto and Ernie Yarborough, a great nose-to-tail race for the lead just about halfway through the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. Back at Charlotte as the leader, David Hutto, comes to the start-finish line, sees the cross flags from the starter stand. We're halfway through the EasyCare 100. Hutto has put a couple of additional car lengths between himself and Ernie Yarborough, the second-place driver. They are on the right of your screen because Yarborough had a little trouble dealing with a lap car just off of turn 4 that last time by.
Yeah, as they went through 3 and 4, our last car actually moved Hutto and Yarborough both out of the groove that they wanted to run. And Yarborough actually got up in the light gray stuff and had to get out of the throttle and not wreck him.
Top 2 separated by a little more than 0.2 of a second, but now it looks like Yarborough's kind of reeling it back in.
Yeah, you can see Yarborough's actually, it almost looks like he's got a little faster car, but not enough to get around Hutto. He can catch him, but catching somebody and then passing him is two different stages.
Don't forget, these guys are both going to have to pit at some point in this event and take on fuel. They do not have enough to make it all the way to the end.
Let's talk about that just for a minute. We saw a couple of drivers pit under that last caution that we had. They came down pit road around lap number 20. Jake Hobgood was one of those. B.J. Mackey was one of those. Doc Brewer was one. The leaders just passed him. He was in the 44 car, put him a lap down. What about those other 2 guys? They stopped. Do they have enough fuel to make it all the way? And what about the leaders? If we don't get a caution, how far can they go? We'll check on that story in just a moment. First, let's duck back to a great race for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Johnny Chapman in the blue car with the orange stripes is in 5th. Right behind him is Darrell Murray in the 52. Then tucked in behind Murray is Ned Combs in the number 9 car. Right behind Combs would be Ricky Bryant, who is faded back from being up about 4th in line. Now he's back to 8th position.
Chapman, an interesting story. He is currently running in 5th spot. This is a one-race deal for him. He's hoping he can work it into something else, but so far this is the only race he has run in 1998. Former series champion.
And the last car, the yellow car in the end of the tail, that's Robert Huffman in the White House Pontiac.
Robert Huffman right now 3rd in the series championship standings. He too a former Dash Series champion. We heard from 2 of the drivers involved in the 3-car crash we had at lap 15. Claire Lang has an update for us on the 3rd.
Brian Gandy is on a stretcher being loaded into the ambulance. He's being transported for observation to the hospital at this moment.
All right, so there's an update on Brian Gandy, the 21-year-old driver who was one of 3 involved in the crash. We heard from the other 2. We'll get a further update on Brian Gandy if that is possible before we leave the air. Watching Darrell Murray race with Ned Combs and Ricky Bryant and Robert Huffman. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th positions. Looks like Huffman wants to find a way underneath Bryant.
You know, we were talking about fuel a minute ago, and Jake Hobgood, he's now running, I guess, in 13th, and he's one of the cars that had pitted. But I still don't think he can run the whole race if we stay green, you know, without having to pit one more time.
We'll see. Ricky Bryant in the middle of your screen here, currently...
Okay.
What is this?
We don't have any fouls in racing.
That is very rare fried chicken. I think they should have left that one in the broiler a little bit longer.
Awful brave. We talked about Ricky Bryant sliding back a few positions. Was as high as 4th. He's now running 8th. I believe Randy Pemberton has an update on the man who figures to take over the championship lead. Randy?
Well, David Hutto, I'm in his pit right now, and I've talked with the guys here, crew chief and car owner Haskell Willingham. I asked them, how long can you go if it stays green? And just as I asked them that, the crew members were signaling 10 laps. That was 2 laps ago, so we're speculating absolute max to the 50-lap mark, and they'll have to pit under green for fuel. So anywhere between 48 and 50, we're going to see the leader hitting the pits for gas.
All right, so there's the follow-up on the fuel story as somewhere 8 or so laps for now. Let's go down to Steve Burns on pit road.
And Alan, we just checked in with Mark Blessing, the crew chief for Ricky Bryant. The car is okay. He has drifted back. He got out of the groove once, and he got tangled up in a little bit of lap traffic. So actually, he's just regaining his composure, getting back into a rhythm. We also talked about the fuel situation. He said they hope to pit after halfway unless there's another caution.
We are after halfway now. Halfway came up about 7 laps ago, and we expect maybe 7 laps from now would be the farthest any of the leaders can go.
You know, every now and then you look at David Hutter and you think he's pulling away, and the minute he gets about 4 or 5 car lengths ahead of Yarborough, he just seems to close it right back up.
Now, these two cars are tied together with a very stout rope. Have been since the green flag dropped.
Very, very tightly matched, are they? Chevy Cavalier for David Hutto, and Ernie Yarborough driving a Ford Probe here in this race. Pontiac Sunfire seems to be the car of choice for most of those who compete in this event.
It is. Pontiac helps support this series, and the competitors in turn have very much switched in the direction of Pontiac. Here we go. Whoa,
Yarborough.
that's not a pit stop. Yes, it is a pit stop. Yarborough.
He wasn't sure.
No, he wasn't.
That's what you call gaining experience, how to make a pit stop from 150 miles an hour. Let's cover the Ernie Yarborough stop on pit road. Ernie Yarborough coming down to a stop now. This is lap number 43 of 67 in the event. Drew around to look at the nose of the car. I believe I called that a Ford Probe a minute ago. That looks like the Pontiac Sunfire.
No, that is the Probe. It's the other car that you're talking about. David Hutter. He was listed as a Chevy. They decided to bring a Pontiac here to run Charlotte.
There's the Ernie Yarborough stop. Fuel down and away. When will the leader Hutto come on to pit road? We'll follow him as Ernie Yarborough tries to get back up to speed. There you see the leader going right around and putting Yarborough 1 lap down. Caution coming out now would be devastating for Yarborough. For his case, hopefully it won't.
Yeah, it would end his night. It would absolutely end his night.
Now the question is, how long will David Hutto stay out there, and when will he come down pit road for a stop? There you see Hutto putting the lap on B.J. Mackey. He's up to the outside of the 92 car of Larry Caudle, and he's going to stay on the racetrack another time around.
Well, he's getting on down to it now. Lap 45, they're going to have to come in for fuel. They're all going to have to come in for fuel soon.
Johnny Chapman was in just a moment ago for a fuel stop on his machine. He's gone back out onto the racetrack. Watching the leader, David Hutto, negotiate some lap traffic. Christian Elder is in on pit road. Mickey York, former series champion, has just made his stop.
He's coming in. You know, I don't know why he dropped down on the back straightaway.
Is he out of fuel?
I think he's out of fuel. There's no way he would want to come into the pits, drop on the apron on the back straightaway. He's definitely losing all the yeah, he's definitely out of gas.
There's Christian Elder, second place at the time of his stop. He gets his fuel down and away, but David Hutto dropping down onto the apron of the racetrack on the back straightaway, perhaps out of fuel. Here he comes slowly to his pit. Let's go to Randy Pemberton and find out.
Well, his car owner and crew chief, Haskell Willingham, talking him in all the way. We know he certainly is out of fuel. Absolutely not running. Devastating for this team. They hit the nozzle, dead in it. It looks like 5, 7, about 8 seconds he's down. Yes, absolutely away, but I'll tell you, this is absolutely devastating for these guys. 10.2 on pit road. We know what it's like, even for big teams. Winston Cup teams can run them out of gas.
We've seen that sometime in the recent past. Darryl Murray has taken over the leader. Looks like he's headed for pit road as well. So a lap after Hutto runs out of fuel, basically. Well, wait a minute. He changes his mind.
Whoa, did you see that? He was on pit road. It's just the big crash you saw.
Yarborough crashes.
Ernie Yarborough in trouble, and Murray's spotter alertly radioing his driver, stay on the racetrack. You might be able to catch Hutto a lap down.
Murray did a great job.
Wow.
He was really on pit road. Just drove across the apron, brought it back out onto the speedway again.
And he shouldn't get penalized because he didn't come across the grass.
Oh, what a heartbreak
and it
for
looks
Ernie
like
Yarborough.
Jake Hopgood was involved in it because he's smoking too.
Big time smoking. This is Jake Hopgood here in the 64.
There is the smoke on the Hopgood car. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Ernie Yarborough and Jake Hopgood right here. There's Yarborough on the outside of Hopgood.
And there it is. The classic, two guys want the same amount of real estate.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. I'm sure Yarbrough just didn't know he was down there, came down, and kaboom, into the wall we go.
So we see the caution flag for the third time in the EasyCare 100. We will check out how many are left on the lead lap by the yellow coming out in the middle of the green flag stops when we come back to Charlotte. Don't go away. Had a little bit of everything at Charlotte tonight in the EasyCare 100. David Hutto, the race leader, just ran out of gas as he was making his pit stop. A crash on the racetrack. Somehow he stayed on the same lap with the race leader. Right now we have a total of 7 drivers in contention for the win, still on the lead lap as we close in on the finish. An exciting run to the checkers coming up. We'll take a break and come right back to Charlotte. Coming to the green flag for a 16-lap sprint to the finish in the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. 7 drivers on the same lap with the race leader, headed by Doc Brewer. He may not have the top spot for long. Here comes Johnny Chapman up to his outside. David Hutto is right behind him. Chapman's the first driver a lap down. Hutto in the 16 is the second-place driver. That's Brewer out front. We're back up to the green flag.
Here comes Christian Elder as well in that silver car. Lots of action up front.
Now, Christian Elder is 9th place. He's the second driver a lap down. So he needs to get around the race leaders and get a caution to get back into the thick, and he may just do it.
I guess working on 4 wide, not the back straightaway works for these cars.
Yeah, it seems to.
Here goes Hutto trying to follow Elder through and take the race lead. He will do so around Doc Brewer. So David Hutto back out in front of the event. You could not ask for a luckier break than Hutto got to stay on the lead lap in that caution crew after he was out of gas.
Yeah, I was surprised he was able to do it because he had run out of gas going down the back straightaway. And his pit stop was great, 10-second pit stop. The problem was...
Whoa, trouble.
Yep.
See that? They're running into each other.
Very close call.
Robert Huffman, boom, in that yellow car.
Rubbing up against Doc Watson.
Doc Brewer there in the 44.
Doc Watson was
There's Robert Huffman in the White House apple juice car. I believe Steve Burns has an update on his standing for us. Steve?
Yeah, he just pitted a while ago. Alan got gas. They're going to make it the rest of the way. Obviously, no problem. He came into this race 3rd in points. He won the championship in 1990. Robert told us before the race today that they will try to run the entire schedule, 20 events, on the same motor. He said they took it out after Daytona, looked at it, it looked fine. They're going to try and run the entire schedule on that same power plant.
Pass for 3rd. Daryl Murray ducked down low around Doc Brewer. There you look at Robert Huffman. He has one problem right now. He's got a long way to go to catch up to David Hutto.
Yeah, he does. But he's running in 2nd spot at the moment, and he has had a great year so far. He was 2nd at Daytona, 2nd at Hickory. He was leading at Caraway and crashed on the last lap. Finished 10th.
May not have 2nd for long. There's Daryl Murray down low. Murray from Lancaster, South Carolina. His family owns a local speedway there. He is trying to get 2nd spot away from Robert Huffman.
He's going to do it. He sure does. Look at that. Strong run.
See Huffman wheel just a little in the center of the corner. I think it was only because he was up the higher lane.
Looking at David Hutto, the race leader, Christian Elder just in front of him has just gotten himself back on the tail end of the lead lap. He's in 8th position, needs a caution to get back around and see if he can get in the thick of things for the win. To Randy Pemberton.
Well, they are trying to figure out exactly how they got a lap down. Of course, now on the tail end of the lead lap, Jimmy Forrest has been conferring with the NASCAR officials. They pitted right in front of David Hutto for the same length of time. They were on pit road. They ended up on the tail end of the lead lap. They do not understand it, but they're happy to be where they are at the moment. But here comes the 16 car. They are praying for a caution.
Watching Christian Elder try and stay in front of David Hutto. Problem is he needs that caution real soon because there are only 11 laps to go, and he needs to be able to come back around and join the tail end of the pack if he's going to have a shot to win. The leader is David Hutto, trying to hold on and score a NASCAR Goodies Dash Series win at Charlotte. Back for the run to the checkers next. 20-year-old 15-year-old David Hutto of Rock Hill, South Carolina, the 1995 NASCAR Goodies Dash Series champion, trying to score a huge win at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You look back, the blue and white car, the number 52 machine of Darryl Murray, is the second-place machine. You see quite a distance between them, about 3 seconds between them now, with just 7 laps to go. To pit road and Randy Pemberton.
Well, one thing about scoring down here, of course, the Christian Elder team thought they were on the lead lap. Now, they do have scoring devices for these cars, as you'll elaborate upstairs in a second, but the bottom line is they don't have big budgets down here. They don't have any monitors that'll tell them exactly where they are on the racetrack. They kind of do it by feel, guys.
Let's talk about that. The NASCAR Winston Cup teams all have computers in their pits that are hooked to an electronic scoring system. These guys don't.
No, but they do have transponders in the back, and it's computer-wise, electronically scored. It's also scored by hand, and our own scorer up here, Gail Connor, had him a lap down. He's not a lap down now. He's at the tail end of the lead lap, so that's 3 separate independent methods of scoring. All had him in the position he is currently said to be running.
And let's clarify, the cars have the electronic scoring on them. The teams just don't necessarily have the computer receiver in the pits to look at it, but the race is being scored electronically the same way a Winston Cup race is right now. 5 to go for David Hutto. There you see Darryl Murray kind of languishing back there. He had been on the charge for a little while. Looks like he's losing a lot of ground here.
Well, you can see David Hutto is just following Christian Elder. He doesn't have to pass him. Why take the chance? He's got over a 3-second lead on a second-place car. He just needs to stay behind him. If he tries to pass him, what if something happens? They get together. He's driving the smartest race of his career right now.
He's doing a great job, too. The line that he is taking is a line that keeps the car very free. Unlike the Winston Cup cars that hug the bottom of the racetrack, Hutter's strategy is to run the middle of the racetrack, a little bit higher groove that keeps the car free, doesn't put any pressure on it, and it is obviously working extremely well tonight.
Yeah, you can see he's not trying to pinch it, let it roll right free through the corners. With the small horsepower, with the 250 horsepower, you can't bog them down. They don't come off the corners, so you got to keep them free.
And wide open. And I'm sure he has not lifted his foot off the floor, with the exception of that pit stop he took all night long.
After winning the Goodies Dash Series championship in 1995, David Hutto tried to establish himself in the NASCAR Busch Series, came back to this division at the end of the 1997 season, ran 6 races, won 3 of them. He's tied with Hunt Strickland, the Winston Cup star, for 8th on the all-time win list in this series. He may just be a few laps away from breaking that tie and passing Strickland in the Goodies Dash Series all-time ranking. 3 laps to go.
You can definitely see some anxiety in the face on there.
Hutto still just kind of riding in behind Christian Elder. No sense in forcing the issue. Now we're at 2 laps to go. That was 65 complete now, and he's just a couple of trips around the Speedway, and he'll be visiting Victory Lane here at Charlotte. You look back, a long way back to Darryl Murray in 2nd spot. Murray just not able to muster enough strength to get up there and make a run at him in the final laps.
3 seconds behind. An awful lot to try and make up.
Darryl Murray ran 6th here at Charlotte last July. He's got Ricky Bryant behind him, who figures to take over the series championship. Well, maybe not. Robert Huntman may actually get over, may get the championship. And the white flag is out for David Hutto. Final lap here at Charlotte as he tries to lock up a huge win tonight here at one of the marquee places in the sport of NASCAR racing.
Well, he's opened up still some more on these last couple of laps.
And even backed away from Christian Elder just a little bit to give himself a little extra pad. Here he comes down to the checkered flag. Victory at Charlotte for David Hutto. Rock Hill, South Carolina, his hometown, basically a part of the Charlotte metropolitan area. So Hutto scores a win at the big track in front of the hometown folks, and he will go to Victory Lane celebrating his his second win of the 1998 NASCAR Goodies Dash Series season. We'll be back to meet the winner and the other top finishers next. Sunday on Fox Sports Net, Formula One racing. The season shifts into high gear as Michael Schumacher looks to repeat at Monte Carlo and help Ferrari close the gap on Mika Hakkinen and the McLarens. The Monaco Grand Prix, Sunday, 2:30 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. Here at Charlotte, David Hutto is in Victory Lane winning the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series tonight. Let's go and hear from our race winner.
Well, Alan, David Hutto victorious here. His first win this year at Hickory. A short track. He went on an awful big track here tonight, David.
Well, I'd like to thank God for a good, safe race. Thank my sponsor, Irmo Graydon. Addy Dodge and all the other sponsors, North Carolina Equipment Company, and we just had an awesome car tonight. You wouldn't believe it. Haskell set it up great. Car got a little loose at the end. I knew I didn't have to push it that hard. I just want to stay with Christian and show him I could, but, you know, we had a good car. Can't complain.
David, you live in Rock Hill, just south of Charlotte. What does it mean to you to win on this racetrack? I'm sure you grew up watching races here.
It means a lot. I'd say this is one of my home tracks. And, we're in a Busch car on this track, and but, you know, it wasn't handled as near as good as this dash car was.
All right, congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, back upstairs, Alan.
David Hutto winning here tonight at Charlotte. The NASCAR Goodies Dash Series victory goes to him. We'll come back. More post-race coverage in just a moment as we get set to wrap things up. Don't go away. Weeknights at midnight, it's The Last Word. Jim Rome tells it like it is, tackling the tough topics and mixing it up with the biggest names in sports. The Last Word, weeknights at midnight on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. Back at Charlotte, the EasyCare 100 for the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series is over. Let's get a word with the second-place runner who gave it a great try in the final laps.
Thanks, Alan. We got a very tired Dale Murray here.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a long race. We had a good car, though. This Baker Electric, Lancaster Speedway, Burns Ford, Lincoln Mercury car. Didn't do too good qualifying, but I knew come race time we'd have a real good car for the race.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back up to Alan Bestwick.
Darrell Murray with a great run finishes in the runner-up position this evening here at Charlotte. When we come back, we'll hear from the third-place finisher, the man who should take over the series championship lead at the conclusion of tonight's event, David Hutto, the winner at Charlotte. We'll be right back. Every night at 10 on Fox Sports Net, it's Fox Sports News Prime Time. All the scores, all the highlights, and all the breaking stories covering your hometown teams 7 nights a week. We are there. Fox Sports News Prime Time every night at 10. Check your local listings. Charlotte Motor Speedway was the site of tonight's EasyCare 100. Robert Huffman will take over the Goodies Dash Series championship lead after a fine third-place run. Let's hear from him in the garage.
2 is right. Little 2-year-old Landon Huffman giving Daddy a little hug after the race. Congratulations on a nice effort tonight. You take over the points lead.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a great run for the White House Apple Juice car. And, we're really working hard this year to win these points. And this is White House's 90th year of business. And, they're owned by the same family that started them. And they've been involved in this Dash Series for 6 years and hadn't got a points championship yet. And we're really working hard. We got in a little mess last week at Caraway. If it wouldn't been for that, we could have had 2 seconds to win in the third. And that's not bad for starting out a season if we can just hold it together.
Okay, congratulations on a good effort. This guy's been tough. He's third in 1995 in the points, then second in 96, fourth in 97. He's off to a potential championship here this year. Robert Huffman.
Robert Huffman, the 90 champion in this NASCAR Goodies Dash Series, hoping to claim title number 2 in this 1998 season. There's the top 5 rundown. We'll look a little deeper in the finishing order and wrap things up from Charlotte in just a moment. Hope you'll stay with us. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the fans have filed out now, headed for their cars after watching David Hutto win the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series EasyCare 100. The crews pack it up, getting ready to head to their next event. Let's take a look at the final finishing order. There you see the top 5. Hutto scoring his second win of the 98 season. Great top 5 runs for Doc Brewer and Ned Combs here tonight. Jake Hopgood came back from being involved in an altercation with a fender pushed in on a tire to get a 6th place run. Ricky Bryant, who was second in the championship standings coming into the event, faded back to the 11th position. I guess the big headline in all of this is the fact that Mike Swaim Jr. is going to finish well down in 41st spot.
Yeah, but that's a strong team, and they know how to fight back from adversity, which they surely have experienced this evening.
Swaim Jr. dropping to the back for missing the driver's meeting. Crash trying to make his way up through the field, and it sets him back a good distance. So far back, we haven't even gotten to him in the rundown yet. Ernie Yarbrough, great run for that young man tonight. Unfortunately, ended up a little sour.
Yeah, sorry that he had to have an altercation, but, you look at this 20-year-old David Hutto. Everywhere I look, the changing of the guard. These young drivers are just showing us old guys up here.
Well, it's not just Hutto. The age of the first 3 guys, 20 years old, 31, and 30 years old indeed. A lot of youth, particularly in this series, is doing well.
Wonder where tomorrow's racing stars are coming from? Looks like we've got quite a few potential ones here in the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. Next event for this division is a Friday in late May. They'll race in Hudson, North Carolina. They'll wind their season up down at Homestead Motorsports Complex in South Florida on Sunday, the 15th of November, crisscrossing back and forth across the southeastern United States between here and there. Some great racing. I recommend it. Should be a lot of fun if they come to somewhere near you and you get the chance to see them. Gentlemen, thank you. Enjoyed it.
It's been a good night. It really has. Good race all the way through.
Yeah, glad we got this race in. We weren't sure at the beginning, but everything turned out really good.
For Bill Venturini, Dr. Dick Berggren, Steve Burns, Randy Pemberton, and Claire B. Lang, our pit reporters, I'm Alan Bestwick saying so long from Charlotte. It was kind of a wild night here. 20-year-old David Hutto is in victory lane. He won the EasyCare 100. Thanks for staying with us. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.